All right, let's dive right into something that might sound, well, a little crazy at first. We're going to explore the unconditional nature of reality. And what that really means is we're going to challenge a core belief pretty much all of us have, the idea that you have problems that need fixing. Yeah, I know, it's a bold claim, but stick with me on this one.
So let's start with a really simple but profound question. Who are you really? I mean, beyond your name, your job, your history. Who are you? Now, it seems like an easy question, right? But the answer, well, the answer might not be what you expect. This question is basically the launchpad for this entire journey we're about to take.
And that brings us to this little bombshell of a quote. In reality, you don't have the problems you think you have. Now hold on. This isn't some kind of toxic positivity saying your life is perfect. Not at all. The idea here is much deeper. It's that the you, the self that you believe is carrying all these problems, might not even be real to begin with.
Okay, so that leads us right into our first section, the paradox of problems. We're going to start by really digging into this. I mean, what if the entire basis for our stress, our anxiety, our suffering is just one big case of mistaken identity?
And here's the absolute core of it. That feeling you have, of being a separate me inside your head, the one who's steering the ship, who has to figure everything out, fix all the flaws, and solve all the problems, that feeling is supposedly the root of the whole issue. But the big question is, what if that separate I isn't actually there when you go looking for it?
This brings us to a really interesting idea, something I think a lot of us can relate to. It's called the seeker's trap. And think about it. Are you a seeker? Are you on some kind of path trying to get to a better place? Maybe you call it enlightenment or spiritual freedom or even just lasting happiness.
Well, that's the trap. The seeker's trap is this constant, endless negotiation with life. It's driven by that separate I we were just talking about, and it's always trying to achieve some future state of perfection. It's that voice in your head that says, okay, if I can just meditate for 30 days straight, then I'll finally be at peace. But the thing is, it's a project that's always focused on a future that, by definition, never actually gets here.
Well, let's bring this back to your own direct experience right now. Who exactly is this negotiator? I mean, can you actually find it? If you look inside right now, do you find a little CEO making deals? Or do you just find thoughts happening, feelings bubbling up, sounds being heard, all on their own?
Okay, so this takes us even deeper. Let's peel back another layer of this whole thing and talk about the illusion of control. You know that feeling, right? That deep down sense that we're the ones in charge, that we're pulling all the strings. So the illusion is that there's a separate I in here making decisions. It feels like we're the CEO of Me Inc. But the reality might be something totally different. What if it's just that choices appear to be made? They just happen. And then a split second later, a thought comes in and claims ownership, saying, yep, I did that. That was me.
This is such a perfect way to put it. The one who's trying to get free is the only obstacle. Think about it. It's like a character in a dream who's desperately trying to wake up. But the character and all of their effort are actually part of the dream itself. They're made of dream stuff. They can't wake themselves up because they aren't real in the first place.
So if we're not this separate little person trying to fix everything, then what in the world are we? Well, the answer supposedly lies in what we're calling reality without conditions.
Just stop and think about this for a second. Reality is completely unconditional. It doesn't need your permission to do anything. Right now, your heart is beating. You didn't tell it to. Thoughts are just appearing in your head. The weather is happening outside your window. Life is just unfolding. And that sense of being a separate me who's in control, that's just one more thing that's unfolding all by itself.
Okay, so here's a metaphor you've probably heard a million times in spiritual circles. The idea that you are a wave trying to become the ocean. This idea that we're this separate little wave and our goal is to merge back into the vastness of the ocean. But what if that's actually the wrong way to look at it? What if that whole premise is mistaken?
Because the punchline is this: you are the ocean, appearing temporarily as a wave. See the difference? It's huge. There is no separation that needs to be overcome. You were never just the wave in the first place. You've always been the entire ocean. Which means there's absolutely nothing to achieve. You're already it.
Okay, that's a beautiful idea, but what does it actually mean for everyday life? This is life without the I. Does everything just grind to a halt? Do you become a zombie? No, not at all. But the way you experience life can shift dramatically.
Because when this is truly seen, not just understood, but really seen,
that whole exhausting, lifelong project of self-improvement just collapses. The constant need to fix yourself, to become better, it just falls away. Can you even imagine the weight that would be lifted?
So what does life look like after this shift? Well, life continues pretty much as usual. You'll still have thoughts, you'll still have preferences, you might still prefer coffee over tea. The huge difference is that they're no longer personal. They're not my thoughts or my feelings anymore. They're just seen for what they are, impersonal events happening in awareness, kind of like different weather patterns just passing through the sky of consciousness.
So where do we go from here? What's the next step? And this is where we get to the final beautiful paradox of it all. This is a personal investigation. And the paradox is, there's nothing for you to do, but there is an invitation to look.
So here are, let's call them 4 steps for no one. It's advice for the you that doesn't exist. First, stop trying so hard to get rid of yourself or fix yourself. Instead, just look for the self. See if you can find it. Second, just notice the totally unconditional nature of this moment. See how it's all just happening without any help from you. Third, begin to see through the mind's constant game of negotiating with reality. And finally, just relax. Relax is the awareness, the space in which all of this experience is appearing.
And this is so important. You don't need to believe a single word of this. This isn't about adopting a new set of beliefs to replace the old ones. It's simply an invitation to investigate your own direct experience and see for yourself if any of this points to something true. And so, we're going to end right back where we started, with a question. And it's not a question for your mind to answer. It's a question to be explored. Where is this I, this me, that supposedly has a choice, that has all these problems? Where is it? The one you've spent your whole life trying to defend, trying to improve, and worrying about. Can you actually find it when you look? Just look. What's really there?